Hey folks, welcome to Stuff and Such. Doing a little video on my Rx7320 Kioti. The year of it is 2020. Just kind of wanted to add a little information on what I may have found out or didn't find out. Unfortunately, there's not a great amount of information out there on helping diagnose things. So I'll run through the series of events and what I think has fixed the problem. I want to not get too cocky and saying I fixed it because it doesn't seem like it makes sense. But anyways, here's the story. 2 nights ago, I think it was, I was coming home, running home on the road, highway speed, and all of a sudden my four-wheel drive was kicking on and off. You could feel it, and you could see the light illuminate on the dash, and basically it wasn't a good situation. So I just kind of slowly managed to limp it home. Everything was working correctly. There was no check engine light, but it was just that four-wheel drive would kick in on me. I wondered if it was maybe just water in a plug or something. But anyways, got it home that night, parked it. It didn't do it for about 10 minutes more that I used, like the last 10 minutes of the ride. Didn't have any problems. I parked it. Next morning, I hoped that it would have just kind of dried out a plug or something, because we were mixing concrete and moisture had been sprayed. Anyway, it came out the next morning. It had a very challenging time to start. Check engine light on. When I did finally get it started, it was on a high idle, and so it ran about 1300 RPM, and then would just sit there. The foot throttle would work, the hand throttle would work. What else is going on? Everything seemed to be basically working right, except that even as I was sitting there, the four-wheel drive would kick on and off, and every time it would kick on, the idle would come back down to regular RPM. You'd let off the brakes and the RPM would come back up. Basically, it was a fairly sick tractor. So far, I've ran it for about half an hour. It's been fine. I'm kind of scared, because that's the problem with these tractors, is that once you start getting into electrical stuff, you're basically hooped. You don't know. Your options are essentially take it to a dealership, and all the costs that associate with that are not friendly at all. So that's dreadful. So what I eventually end up doing is disconnecting the brake pedal switch. I'll show you that in a second, but just kind of wanted to go through my process of diagnosing and thinking. When you had just when the tractor wasn't started and the ignition switch was switched to on, so the engine wasn't on, but power was up, the tach would flick, and the four-wheel drive light would come on a little bit, and also the tail lights would light up too. So that's kind of why I thought, like, these problems, they have to be kind of related, I think. Didn't know if it was a ground. Oftentimes electrical stuff has bad grounds. That's where you get these weird random problems. So, but what I did notice is when I did have it running, the foot pedal worked, hand throttle worked, the RPMs would kind of stay where they were supposed to. So that kind of told me, I think, that the crankshaft sensor, the cam sensor was all working. It's just that it was kind of confused in the ECU for some reason. So I disconnected, I'll bring you up here. So I undid, there was 6 bolts, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 on the back side, and then 2 down the steering column. And I disconnected back in here this little thing here. That's the brake switch. It connects to that little thing there. One side note, if you're having an issue with 4-wheel drive, flip the brake link tab over. By flipping over that locking together brakes, it turns off the, when you push the brakes, the 4-wheel drive come on feature, which would help if you're running out of options and you can't really access that brake switch on the road. You need bolt, or you need a wrench to do it. So as for how that affected the ECU, I'm not entirely sure. It seems, the only thought I have is that it was getting improper voltage through that switch. The switch is, so because I pulled it out, I'm assuming it's normally open, because as it's pulled out it thinks that the brakes aren't on, whereas if it was if the switch closes when you press the brakes, it would then, I can't quite explain how it is in my head, but basically it thinks the brakes aren't applied, and because of that, it doesn't recognize the taillights, it doesn't recognize the 4-wheel drive to put on. So what I'm wondering is, if opposed to saying it was getting, so when the switch was activated it gets 12 volt through that switch, maybe it was getting like 7, just like a trickle through it, and that tricked the ECU to have an issue. Why the brakes would have any sort of impact on the operation of the computer, I have no idea. But how it worked is I had it running, I think, because I was afraid to turn it off, because I had it running, so I unplugged the switch, nothing changed. Wasn't overly surprised, because, oh sorry, something did change. It would stop the flicking of the 4-wheel drive, and because of that the RPM stayed constant opposed to dipping down because it thought the brakes were applied. So I kind of noted that that was not happening anymore, so I thought, okay. I then did a few emergency barn chores, got hay for the sheep, and then I parked it, waited 5 minutes, turned the key on, check engine light came on the check engine light came on until it started, and then it cleared itself instantaneously, and the RPMs were where they were supposed to be. And it's never had an issue again in about 5-6 starts. Except it seemed like when you turned it off, it didn't turn off instantly. It waited just a touch longer, which I don't understand. But maybe because it was idling in limp mode for so long, it needed to relearn itself. So yeah, that's a lot of just random rambling, but it's more information that I could find anywhere on Google. So yeah. So basically, long story short, is that a simple sensor that is having a stroke can basically kill your tractor. And if you have no way of checking for that, you're kind of in the dark. Other than, I think there's only, I hesitate to say only. Yeah, I won't even, I'm guessing there's like 20 sensors. So, do with that what you will. Basically, I'd have to read the symptom and project, like, side note, my hand throttle has always acted up since I've gotten it. Brand new. basically every 6 months it'll occasionally lose connection or something, and it won't know exactly where it is, and it'll throw a check engine light and fall on its face. So then I cycle the hand throttle about 5-10 times, wait a minute, restart it, and it's back to normal again. So it's kind of the exact same symptoms from a sensor from a totally different area that just throws the brains into panic mode, which is kind of scary. So yeah, hopefully you don't have any of these issues, and you can leave a comment. I likely won't be able to help you, but on the off chance maybe I can, or someone else who's watching this can help you. Yeah, bye for now. Thanks for watching.